Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting game from round 2 of the GRENKE Chess Classic, here between Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Viswanathan Anand. Now I'm sure all of you noticed that both Maxime and Anand were missing from the 2018 Candidates Tournament. Unfortunately, they didn't qualify, and these are definitely the two players that would have made a fine contribution to the Candidates Tournament. But they only accept 8 players, so not everyone can make it every time. But I'm sure already in the next cycle we'll definitely see at least one of them. So let's see this game, and I did say I will show you some photos as I didn't have any from the Carlsen Yifan game. So here we have a photo of Carlsen preparing to shake Yifan's hand before the game. Here we have a nice close-up of Yifan, and here a nice close-up of Magnus Carlsen. This was taken already almost by the end of their game. And a couple of photos from this game. Here we have Maxime and Anand on the move, and the audience in the back. Here we have a nice close-up of Anand. He's probably considering something. And here we have also an almost a close-up of Maxime Vachier preparing to make a move. So nice photos, as I always will try to show you some photos if I do have any. Now let's see the game, and I did use David Bronstein's quote above the board, as the theme of this game kind of reminds me of the famous Bronstein versus Najdorf game, the whole Queen F3, Queen G3 idea against the Sicilian. But you'll see what I mean by this. Maxime goes E4. And Anand plays c5, the Sicilian. And I always say this, Maxime Vachier is considered to be probably the greatest Sicilian player in the world. So playing Sicilian against him obviously is like really challenging him to a fight. So knight to f3, e6 now, d4, c captures, knight captures, and knight to c6, the Taimanov variation. Knight to c3, queen to c7, the Bastrikov, bishop to e3, and now a6. We have queen to f3, knight to f6, and now queenside castle. Knight to e5, and now queen to g3, pinning that knight as the queen on c7 is undefended. b5, expanding on the queen side, preparing bishop to b7. A3, stopping b4, bishop to b7, and here we have this early bishop captures on b5, and this seems to be like an improved version of Bronstein's idea. Now you don't want to capture the bishop, definitely. If you capture the bishop, then you get knight captures, you attacking the queen, and after queen moves, as you do have to guard that c7 square, bishop to b6. With ideas of either knight to c7, knight to c7 check, or even stronger, if black plays properly, bishop to c7, then picking up the piece back. So after bishop to c6, you would have to go bishop to c7, attacking the queen, queen moves, and now queen captures on e5, grabbing back the piece, and also now defending your knight, as your knight on b5 was attacked twice. And after knight captures on e4, knight captures on e4, queen captures on b5, queen captures and bishop captures, you can give a nice check here, and after the exchange of the bishop for knight, white would be up a pawn, but it's not all that important that he's up a pawn. He has two connected pass pawns here, and b pawn will be extremely powerful, and this bishop is a monster, completely cutting off the black king. So this would be an idea, and this is the best black can do if he accepts this bishop sacrifice after bishop captures on b5. So of course Anand doesn't do it. Rook to c8. Now definitely Anand is threatening to capture the bishop, as now the rook is also guarding the c7 square. And also for the price of one pawn, now Anand has this rook-queen battery against the king on c1. So bishop to a4, and here knight captures on e4 by Anand. Also, an interesting idea, definitely, you have to consider this. I mean, you're already really strong here. An idea like bishop captures on a3. Of course, white will not capture. This would leave the knight on c3 undefended. The question is, what happens after you simply defend? Knight to e2. Now this knight is defended. Do you move the bishop back? Did you really get anything by grabbing back this pawn? You just sacrifice the pawn for activity. The question is bishop captures on b2 a viable option? After king captures, for example, black castles, and now can black use the exposed white king to maybe bring the rooks here to the b and c file and start some sort of an attack? Probably it is possible, but since Maxime allowed this and he did prepare for this line, obviously he would be ready with all of the defensive ideas. So Anand plays knight captures on e4. Grabbing back the pawn, knight captures and bishop captures. Bishop to f4 now, attacking the knight, and here queen to c4, unpinning and preparing to grab the bishop on a4. So bishop captures on e5, queen captures on a4, and rook to d2. Here f6, kicking back the bishop, bishop to d6, and now king to f7. Rook to e1, bishop to g6, now not allowing the queen to pose any threats here against the g-pawn, and also, of course, getting the bishop away as it was attacked by the rook. Bishop captures, rook captures, and queen to d6 now. So this is one of the most important ideas of Maxime in this line. Against the Taimanov, black never gets to push d5, and this is completely locking black's pieces out of the game. King to g8, preparing to bring the other rook into the game, and also the king is now safe, sort of artificially castled. We have f4 now, and here rook f to e8. And rook f to e8 might not be the greatest move. The greatest move that allows black to at least draw the game is queen to c4. Queen to c4 with some very powerful ideas. For example, queen to a2 is an idea, followed by queen a1 checkmate. Also now the queen, the rook, and the bishop are eyeing the c2 pawn. A lot of pressure there. So after something like queen captures on d7, this is why it's hard to find. You have to allow white to grab your pawn, and also now your e6 pawn is attacked twice, but now bishop to f7 is the move. Also very hard to find. And now after knight captures, now queen to a2, threatening queen a1 checkmate. And after white stops this, then queen a1 check, king to d2, and now queen captures on b2. And this is pretty much a force to draw. Knight captures on f8, and now queen to c3, and this is a draw. King to d1, and yeah, you can't go king to d1. If you go king to d1, you will lose the game after rook comes to b8. The idea is rook to b1, of course, and after you stop this, king c1, now you get bishop to a2, and there is no defense against rook to b1. You would have to give up your queen, and then you would lose very quickly. So after queen to c3, you have to go king to c1, and then it's a draw. Queen a1 check, king d2, queen c3 check, king c1, queen a1 check, and you get a threefold repetition, drawing the game. So queen c4, definitely a very strong and powerful idea. But I mean, extremely hard to find. You have to give up this pawn, then play bishop to f7, really weird. But okay, rook f to e8, we have rook to e3, queen to c4 now, but now b3, simply blocking the queen. Queen to c7, offering a trade of queens, and now queen captures and rook captures. And although the material is equal on the board, and Anand does have a bishop, it will prove to be not so useful. King to b2, we have rook to b8. Now comes g4, bishop to f7, and now a4. Rook to c5, knight to e2 with ideas of doubling rooks on the d file. Rook goes back. Now comes rook to d6 with tempo, attacking the a6 pawn. Rook defends it, and now rook to d3, and now you can see that this bishop isn't really doing all that much. It's pretty much a useless piece. White already doubled rooks here. This is a very weak backwards pawn. This was the entire idea Maxime had about this opening, that it simply creates this terrible weakness, this backwards d7 pawn. So bishop to e8, now defending it, but this bishop is now worse than a pawn. F5, E captures on F5, G captures on F5, and now rook to C8. Knight to C3, bringing the knight now deeper into the position. Rook to C5, now Anand is preparing to double rooks on the C file, if it will be possible. Rook to D5, now rook to C6, blocking. Knight to E4, king to F7, and now rook back to D3. Rook A to C7, threatening to capture the C2 pawn, simply C4. G6, F captures on G6, H captures on G6, and knight captures on F6. This didn't happen. It was at this point. This is This is move 37, so they didn't reach time control yet, and I believe Anand was in serious time trouble. I didn't see the live feed, so if any of you watch the game live, do share in the comments, as I don't really know what happened here. G6 was played here. Maxime played F captures and G6, and it was in this position that Anand resigned the game. Simply because it loses a pawn and Anand has nothing to show for it. After pawn captures, knight captures, he's down a pawn, and with a terrible position. This bishop is terrible here. You know, very hard to play this. I mean, the position is winning for white. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to find any useful move here, even if you don't play G6, but probably Anand just played it due to some serious time trouble. So yeah, they didn't even reach move 40, although I believe after knight captures an f6, it might be in this position that Anand resigned the game. I'm not really sure, as this is move 39. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on move 39 that he resigned. So not even reaching time control. But yeah, a very interesting game, and it kind of did remind me of that Bronstein versus Najdorf game. I did watch an interview with Anand after this game, and also an interview with Maxime. I will put a link in the description below where you can watch both an interview with Anand and an interview with Maxime. Both of them give their own thoughts about this game and why it went the way it did. And I will also put a link to the trailer from round 2, also a very nice video for you to check out. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. A very nice game by Maxime, and also a very nice defensive game by Anand, but I'm really not sure what happened there. Probably serious time trouble. So yeah, I would like to thank Eric Wilkinson, Mark Gami, and Uriah Koch for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon with another interesting video. Thank you all.